Garda. Today, all over this island, in many parts of the world, Republicans are gathering to commemorate the men and women of 1916, 96 years after the event, who went out, many gave their lives to pursuit of justice, freedom and equality for our people. And we here in Drumcliff this morning are proudly standing here remembering the great men and women of that era, and in doing so we are also remembering every man and woman that took up arms against the forces of occupation in this country right through to the present day. As we stand here and remember those great men and women, we applaud their vision, their courage, their determination, their commitment to justice for the common good. And in the contents of that great visionary proclamation, cherishing all the children of the nation equally, a document revolutionary in its time, the same document is revolutionary in this day. And we remember those men who were put to death because they chose to take up arms against occupation. 17 men executed by the British government at that point in time, in the belief that having done so, they would quell the resistance that fires in the veins of every Irish man and woman. They believed by killing those men that they would frighten off everybody else and destroy the revolution. Shortly afterwards, with the foundation of the IRA took the war to the tans in every street, in every village, in every field in this country, and fought a relentless war for 3 years, forcing the British government to the negotiating table. And unfortunately, the outcomes of that negotiations meant that the counter-revolutionaries within the Republican leadership at that time tried to destroy that revolution and tried to destroy that great visionary document or proclamation. And what they did do was implement British policies and imperial policies in this country, albeit with different leaders. Many people paid a huge price in that civil war. But what emerged afterwards was no different than what went before. You still had poverty, you still had immigration, you still had a political class that saw themselves better than anybody else. You still had the power of a church that has been responsible for institutions in this country, supported by successive governments right through until very recently, where they condemn women because they had a child out of wedlock, where they condemn poor people, and put them into institutions in order to facilitate those objectives. And we stand here today with that document, the proclamation that was read here, yet to be realised, committed and determined to ensure that that document becomes the reality for our children and our grandchildren. And comrades, that is a battle that we have ahead. That is a battle where we can see all our children cherished as a nation equally. That is a battle where we will have to see the resources of this country exploited for the benefit of the common good, not for the select few. And when we look back at the history of this country since 1922, just look at what has happened. In the 30s, the economic policies of the 30s ensured that almost 500,000 people left this island between 1921 and 1960. It ensured that most of this population of this country were not educated properly. It ensured that the elderly people, many of them condemned to homes, institutional homes. It ensured that young children taken from their parents were put into institutions by the compliance of the government and the church at that point in time. And it also ensured that you had a class in this country that saw themselves better than everybody else. But most of the working class people lived in misery and in poverty, and we are not much better off today. And during that period of time, you had in the 40s, in the 50s, in the 60s, the IRA go to war with the Brits again to try and bring about the contents of that document. And what has happened is that from 1969 right through to this present day, the revolutionary fervour that existed in 1916 was carried forward by men and women of our generation. And we have a situation today that we can stand here and say we have a Good Friday Agreement, we have a Hillsborough Agreement, we have a St Andrews Agreement that is bringing some sort of freedom to the people of the 6 counties economically, but not yet politically. So we still have to continue a struggle to bring about the realisation of that document. Comrades, at this point in time, there are criminals who were part of the Leinster House establishment walking the streets. Bertie Ahern was in Nigeria, and Niger last week, €30,000 to give a lecture. The same person who was responsible for thousands of young people being forced to emigrate from this land. The same person who's been responsible for the economic treason that has been perpetrated on the Irish people. The same person and the same government and the same political elite who have been responsible for the Shawnee Fitzpatricks, the Michael Finkeltons, the bankers, the developers who have robbed the ordinary working class people of this country. These are the people that are responsible, because we have tens of thousands of young people leaving this country every year as a consequence of their economic treason. So, comrades, what we have to do in Sinn Féin, we have to change all that. We have to bring about a situation where the common good will prevail over the individual's selfishness and greed. We have to bring about a situation where all our children will be cherished equally. We have to bring about a situation where the resources of this country are used for the common good and not for the elite. We got to bring about a situation where all our young children will be able to realise the gifts and the talents that they have through a proper education system. We got to bring about a situation where elderly people at the end of their days will be in comfort and will not be worried about putting food on the table. We got to bring about a situation where we no longer will have an escape of immigration in order to deal with the lack of jobs and employment. We have to bring about a situation where we will be comfortable with each other and tolerant towards each other, and that we will recognise the value again of the common good. So that is the challenge facing us as Republicans on this island at this point in time. And that is the challenge that we are up for. And your presence here today, and thousands of other people all over this country's presence at Republican graveyards and Republican commemorations, is an indication of all of our commitment to what we are about to do and what we're going to bring about. Over the last 18 months, we have seen changes in the Irish people's attitude. Sinn Féin now have 14 TDs, and we have 3 senators. We are in government in the 6 counties, in a partnership. And all over the country at the moment, people are coming to the Sinn Féin message, because Sinn Féin stands by the proclamation. Sinn Féin stands by the Democratic Charter of 1918. Sinn Féin stands by a republic that will bring justice and freedom and equality for all our people. And you, the people of Clare, you have challenges like we have challenges in other parts of this country. The challenge for you is in 2 years' time, the local elections and the European election. Get your candidates on the field, get them elected, and get representation for people that people will be entitled to. The challenges for Republican leaders is to bring about a situation where we can push forward to the ideals, the aims and objectives of all men and women who have fought for freedom and justice down through the years. To bring about a situation where we will have a united Ireland. To bring about a situation where we will have economic justice and social justice for all our people. To bring about a situation where we can live comfortably with each other and live for the common good. So let's leave here today committed and determined to the aims and objectives of that proclamation. Let's leave here today in the knowing that we are honouring the memory and the legacy of all who have given their life in pursuit of our objectives, the objectives of the Irish Republic. Let's leave here today knowing full well that the Shawnee Fitzpatricks, the Michael Finkeltons, the Bertie Aherns, the political elite, the bankers, the developers, that will cast them into the dustbin of history because they have brought this country to its knees. And Republicans, we, Irish Republicans, will bring people back onto their feet, and we will challenge wrongs no matter where they are or who they're perpetrated by. So let's leave here today, each and every one of you, proud of who you are and what you are, determined to bring about the men and women we commemorate, the aims and objectives that they give their life for, determined to bring about an Ireland of equals, an Ireland that we and our patriot dead can be proud of. Good on, Margaret.